The silence between stars. The conference room on Luna Station fell silent as the final transmission timestamp appeared on the holographic display. Mission Control Director Sarah Okonkwo stared at the numbers, her coffee growing cold in her hand. The exploration vessel Meridian had stopped transmitting 48 hours ago. Before that, it was the Starweaver. 2 ships, 733 souls gone. Run the diagnostic again, she said, though she knew the results wouldn't change. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Park Ji-hun, shook his head. Director, we've run it 16 times. The data is consistent. Both ships went dark in the threshold sector within 3 weeks of each other. No distress signals, no debris fields, nothing. Sarah turned to face the observation window. Earth hung in the darkness beyond, a blue marble wrapped in white clouds. Down there, families waited for news. Children asked when Mommy or Daddy would call from the stars. She had no answers for them. These weren't accidents, she said quietly. 2 brand-new ships with completely different system architectures. Both fail catastrophically at almost the same location? That's not coincidence. Park moved beside her. The assembly won't like us making accusations without proof. Then we get proof. Sarah activated her communication implant. Get me Captain Torres. If anyone can find our people, it's him. Captain David Torres had spent 15 years in Earth's Deep Space Navy. He'd seen asteroid mining accidents, solar flare damage, and even a rogue comet impact. But he'd never seen anything like the data package that arrived from Luna Station. Aboard his vessel, the Nighthawk, Torres gathered his senior staff. His ship wasn't listed in any official registry. As far as the Interstellar Assembly knew, the Nighthawk didn't exist. That's exactly how Earth's military wanted it. 2 exploration ships vanished. Torres began projecting the routes on the central display. The Meridian was carrying scientific teams. The Starweaver had families aboard, heading to establish humanity's first deep space colony beyond assembly-controlled sectors. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Maya Reeves, leaned forward. Threshold sector borders Zethron space. They've always been hostile to expansion by newer species. Officially, they preach cooperation and shared prosperity, Torres replied. Unofficially, they control 70% of the resource-rich systems in that quadrant. And they don't like competition. His communications specialist, Ensign Tom Bradford, pulled up additional data. Captain, I've been cross-referencing with assembly records. Over the past 90 years, 43 ships from minor species have disappeared in that same region. All marked as navigational accidents or equipment failures. Torres felt his jaw tighten. 43 ships, thousands of beings, and the assembly just filed it away as bad luck? According to the records, yes, sir. Each incident was investigated by assembly oversight, which is controlled by the Zethron Collective and their allies, Torres finished. Convenient. He stood pacing the length of the briefing room. Get us ready for deep insertion. Stealth configuration. We're going dark and heading to threshold sector. Sir, that's directly against assembly protocols, Maya said carefully. If they catch us operating in disputed space without authorization, they won't catch us. And even if they do, I'd rather face an assembly tribunal than explain to 700 families why we didn't even try. Torres looked at each member of his crew. Our people are out there. Dead or alive, we bring them home. 300 light-years away on Assembly Prime Station, Marcus Webb straightened his jacket and entered the council chamber. As Earth's delegate to the Interstellar Assembly, he'd learned to navigate the complex politics of a civilization spanning 400 species. Today, he needed every bit of that experience. The chamber was a magnificent structure, a sphere of transparent crystal that gave the illusion of floating in open space. Representatives from powerful species occupied the prime positions, their platforms elevated and prominent. Newer species like humanity occupied the outer rings. The symbolism wasn't subtle. I call for emergency proceedings, Marcus announced, his voice amplified by the chamber's systems. 2 Earth vessels have disappeared under suspicious circumstances in the threshold sector. We request immediate assembly investigation and search operations. High Curator Vexinar of the Zethron Collective regarded him with 4 compound eyes. The insectoid's mandibles clicked in what translators rendered as amusement. Delegate Webb, space is vast and dangerous. Surely your species understands the risks of exploration. We understand risk, Marcus replied evenly. What we don't understand is why 43 other ships from various species have vanished in the exact same region over 9 decades, and no comprehensive investigation has ever been conducted. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Several minor species representatives sat up straighter, suddenly interested. Vexnar's crystalline wings fluttered. You make serious implications, Delegate. The Assembly thoroughly reviews all incidents. These were unfortunate accidents, nothing more. Then you'll support a joint investigation, full transparency, multiple species represented, unrestricted access to the sector? That region borders Zethran sovereign space. We cannot allow military vessels from newer species to operate freely in such sensitive areas. The answer is no. Marcus had expected this. He pulled up holographic data, displaying it for all delegates to see. Then explain this. Zethran military traffic in Threshold Sector has increased by 300% over the past century. Supply convoys that don't appear in any commercial registries, facilities that aren't marked on any civilian charts. What exactly are you doing out there? The chamber erupted in conversation. Several delegates began demanding answers. But the powerful species remained silent, their expression unreadable. Vexnar's voice cut through the noise. This assembly will not tolerate unfounded accusations. The Zethran Collective has served as a cornerstone of interstellar civilization for 8,000 years. Your species has been here for barely 70. Perhaps you should focus on learning your place before making demands you cannot enforce. The vote was swift and decisive. No investigation. No search operation. No support for Earth's missing vessels. Marcus left the chamber with clenched fists, knowing he'd just received his answer. The assembly wouldn't help. They were part of the problem. Dr. Amara Singh didn't sleep much anymore. The intelligence officer had spent 6 weeks analyzing every byte of data she could acquire about the Threshold Sector. What she found made her wish she hadn't looked so closely. They're harvesting them, she said as Prime Minister Elena Vasquez entered her secure lab. Elena was a woman who'd climbed from poverty in Mumbai to leading Earth's government. She'd seen humanity's worst and best, but even she felt her stomach turn as Amara displayed the evidence. For the past 150 years, the Zethran have been systematically capturing vessels from minor species. The beings aboard are taken to research facilities. Some are studied, some are enslaved, some are simply killed for biological samples. The holographic display showed intercepted communications, energy signatures from hidden stations, and testimony from rescued survivors of other species who'd been too afraid to speak publicly. The Assembly knows? Elena asked. The major powers know. They allow it because the Zethran share some of the research, provide them with cheap labor, and maintain stability in their regions. It's been going on so long it's just accepted. The cost of doing business in the galaxy. Elena watched the data scroll past. Names, dates, species. Thousands of lives treated as resources to be exploited. And our people? If the pattern holds, some might still be alive. The Zethran keep specimens for extended periods. But Elena, Amara's voice cracked slightly. The families on the Starweaver. The children. They're considered especially valuable for genetic research because they're young, healthy, diverse. The Prime Minister closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were hard as diamonds. How many people know about this? Just the Intelligence Committee. We've kept it locked down. Good. Keep it that way. Elena activated her secure communication line. This is Prime Minister Vasquez. Authorization code Theta 9 Alpha. I'm invoking Protocol Nightfall. Wake up, everyone. Tell them we're going to war. The Nighthawk dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Threshold Sector. Torres had his crew running silent, every system minimized to avoid detection. Their stealth coating absorbed sensor sweeps, making them nearly invisible. Scanning for debris fields. Maya reported. Got something. Bearing 273 Mark 45. What they found made Torres's blood run cold. Pieces of hull plating drifted in the void, each one scarred with precise cutting marks. Not meteor damage, not system failures. Weapons fire. Captain, I'm picking up synthetic materials matching Meridian's construction, Ensign Bradford said. And, oh God, personal effects, clothing, a child's toy. Torres forced his voice to remain steady. Recover what you can. Document everything. Keep searching for the main wreckage. They found the Starweaver 3 days later, or what remained of it. The colony ship had been systematically dismantled. Its engines were gone, its life support stripped away. But the hull was relatively intact, floating in a forgotten corner of space. Boarding party, suit up, Torres ordered. We're going in. The interior was worse than the exterior. Signs of struggle were everywhere, blast marks on walls, belongings scattered as people had been dragged away. In the medical bay, Torres found documentation logs still active. They knew they were being attacked, he said, reading the final entries. Captain Jessica Morgan tried to negotiate. Sent out distress calls. The Zethran vessels ignored everything. They just came in and started taking people. Maya's voice came through the comm. Captain, you need to see this. Cargo hold 3. What he found there made Torres want to vomit. Holding cells. Dozens of them. Built after the ship was captured. Used to transport human prisoners like cargo. They were alive when they were taken, he said quietly. All of them. The Zethran boarded, killed anyone who resisted, and took the rest. Where? Maya asked. Where did they take them? Bradford's voice crackled through the comm.
I'm pulling data from the ship's passive sensors.
They recorded everything until power failed. Got a trajectory. Zethran vessels headed deep into their sovereign space, toward coordinates that match one of the facilities Dr. Singh identified. Torres made his decision. Plot a pursuit course. We're going after them. Sir, that's deep in Zethran space. We'll be completely on our own. Our people are in there, alone, scared, probably thinking no one's coming for them. Torres looked at the empty holding cells. We're going to prove them wrong. The facility designated Outpost Zerion 7 didn't appear on any official charts. It orbited a dead moon in an uninhabited system, hidden by sensor jamming technology. The Nighthawk approached slowly, every system strained to maintain their stealth profile. Scanning the structure, Maya reported. Heavy shielding. Multiple power sources. Life signs. Captain, I'm reading humanoid biosignatures. Lots of them. Different species. Can you confirm human presence? Working on it, yes. Confirmed. At least 200 human biosignatures. They're alive. Torres felt something loosen in his chest. Alive. They were alive. Tactical assessment. 12 defense platforms. 1 heavy cruiser on patrol. Maybe 50 armed personnel inside the facility itself. We can't assault this alone, sir. We don't have the firepower. We're not here to assault it. Not yet. Torres activated his encrypted communication system. This is Nighthawk to Luna Station. Package located. Coordinates attached. Subjects confirmed alive but in hostile custody. Requesting immediate protocol nightfall activation. The response came back after a lag of several minutes. A single word from Prime Minister Vasquez herself. Authorized. Torres looked at his crew. We keep eyes on this facility. We document everything. And we wait. Because help is coming. A lot of help. Across Earth's hidden military shipyards, klaxons began to sound. Ships that officially didn't exist began powering up their reactors. Soldiers who were trained for a war they hoped would never come started loading weapons and checking equipment. The assembly had laughed at Earth's demands. The Zethran had dismissed humanity as insignificant. They were about to learn their mistake. Humanity had been patient. Humanity had played by the rules. Humanity had asked nicely for justice. Now humanity was done asking. When humanity roared, the Interstellar Assembly Chamber buzzed with routine business when Marcus Webb returned. But this time he wasn't alone. Behind him stood Admiral Catherine Zhang, commander of Earth's combined fleet. Behind her, holographic displays activated without permission, flooding every screen in the chamber with evidence. What is the meaning of this intrusion? High Curator Vexnar demanded, rising from his platform. Marcus's voice was cold, devoid of the diplomatic courtesy he'd always maintained. This is the meaning, Curator. 3 weeks ago, I stood here and asked for help finding our missing people. You refused. You mocked us. You told us to learn our place. The displays showed footage from the Nighthawk's reconnaissance, the dismantled Starweaver, the holding cells, the facility where human prisoners were held, and more. Evidence of 150 years of systematic predation by the Zethran Collective. We found them, Marcus continued. We found our people, and we found evidence of what you've been doing, not just to humans but to 43 other species. For over a century, you've been hunting vessels from minor species, taking their people, using them for research, for labor, for whatever purposes suited you. Delegates from smaller species stared at the screens in horror. Some recognized ships' faces, names of their own people who'd vanished over the decades. These images prove nothing, Vexnar said. but his voice had lost its confidence. "Fabrications designed to smear the Zethron reputation. We have your communication logs," Admiral Zhang interrupted. "Intercepted from your military channels. Detailed records of operations. Transfer manifests listing captives by species, age, and genetic markers. Names of Zethron officials who authorize these operations. Would you like me to read them aloud?" The chamber descended into chaos. Delegates shouted questions. Minor species demanded answers. The representatives from major powers sat frozen, calculating their responses. Marcus raised his voice above the din. "The United Earth Government presents the following demands to this assembly, and specifically to the Zethron Collective. 1. Immediate release of all human captives. 2. Release of all captives from every species held in your facilities. 3. Full access to all research stations for independent investigation. 4. Surrender of all officials involved in these operations to face trial. You have 72 standard hours to comply." Vexnar's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of Zethron agitation. "And if we refuse your absurd ultimatum?" Admiral Zhang smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Then we take them back by force, and we dismantle every facility, every station, every ship involved in these operations. We will burn your infrastructure to ash and scatter it across the void. You dare threaten us?" Another Zethron delegate stood, his voice shrill. "You are one species. We command fleets that number in the tens of thousands. We have allies among the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy." "Then call them," Marcus said simply. 72 hours. Choose wisely." As they left the chamber, Vexnar's laughter echoed behind them. "Humanity has just signed its extinction warrant." How tragically predictable. The vote in the Zethron High Council was unanimous. War. They would crush this upstart species and make an example that would last millennia. No minor species would ever dare challenge the established order again. Fleet Marshal Kexval reviewed the deployment orders with satisfaction. 15,000 warships would converge on Earth's colonies. They would start with the outer settlements, give humanity time to watch their worlds burn, then move inward to Earth itself. "They have perhaps 3,000 vessels," Kexval told his subordinates. "Primitive technology, limited combat experience. This will be over in days." What Kexval didn't know was that Earth's intelligence services had infiltrated Zethron communication networks months ago. Every order, every deployment, every tactical plan was being read in real time by analysts on Luna Station. "They're sending everything," Dr. Amara Singh reported to Admiral Zhang. "They're not even keeping reserves. They think this will be easy." "Good," Zhang replied. "Overconfidence is a tactical weakness. How long until they reach firing range of our colonies?" 48 hours at their current speed. Then we have 47 hours to change their minds. Zhang activated the fleet-wide channel. "All vessels, this is Admiral Zhang. Operation Silent Thunder is now active. Execute Phase 1. Show them what we've been building." Across 12 systems simultaneously, space itself seemed to ripple. Stealth fields deactivated. Camouflage networks dropped. And suddenly, where there had been empty void, there were ships. Not 3,000 ships. 30,000 ships. Humanity had spent 70 years in the galaxy learning, watching, preparing. While the assembly dismissed them as insignificant, Earth's engineers had been reverse engineering alien technology and improving it. While the Zethron laughed at human weakness, Earth's shipyards had been working in secret, building vessels designed for one purpose: war. The Zethron fleet advancing toward humanity's colony at New Vancouver found themselves facing not helpless civilians, but a wall of warships that materialized from nowhere. Captain Jennifer Torres, no relation to David Torres, commanded the dreadnought, Vengeful Dawn. She watched the Zethron fleet on her tactical display and opened a communication channel. "Zethron vessels. This is Captain Torres of the United Earth Navy. You are ordered to stand down and reverse course immediately. This is your only warning." The response was predictable. The Zethron fleet opened fire. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. Human ships moved like nothing the Zethron had encountered. They accelerated at forces that should have liquefied their crews, but humanity had evolved on a heavy gravity world. What killed other species was merely uncomfortable for humans. They dodged incoming fire with impossible precision, guided by artificial intelligence systems that, predicted enemy movements before the enemy themselves knew what they'd do, and human weapons had been designed by a species that had spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing each. Other railguns firing projectiles at relativistic speeds punched through Zethran shields like they weren't there. Directed energy weapons designed to overwhelm heat dissipation systems turned enemy vessels into expanding clouds of plasma. Missile swarms coordinated by networked AI systems found every weak point, every vulnerable system, every critical junction. The Battle of New Vancouver lasted 47 minutes. When it ended, the Zethron had lost 90% of their fleet. Earth had lost 14 ships, but that was just the beginning. Across Zethron space, similar scenes played out. At their mining colonies, human strike forces appeared without warning, destroyed military installations, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Their communication networks went dark, jammed by Earth's electronic warfare systems. Their supply lines were severed, their logistics network shattered, and then the rescue operations began. Commander James Chen led the assault on Facility Zarian 7. His team moved through the structure with brutal efficiency, clearing rooms, neutralizing guards, freeing prisoners. They found humans, yes, but also beings from dozens of other species. Some had been captive for years, some for decades. In the deepest level of the facility, Chen found what the Zethron had been so eager to protect: research labs where captives had been subjected to experiments, genetic modification attempts, neural interface testing, behavioral conditioning programs. One room made Chen stop in his tracks: cages, small cages designed for children. Empty now, but the records showed they'd been occupied recently. "Find them," Chen ordered. "Find every child in this facility. Now." They found them in a separate wing. 73 human children from the Starweaver, ranging from 3 years old to 16. When Chen's team breached the door, the children cowered, too traumatized to understand they were being rescued. One little girl, maybe 5 years old, looked at Chen with enormous eyes. "Are you real?" she whispered. "They said nobody would come. They said we were forgotten." Chen knelt down, carefully removing his helmet so she could see his face. "We're real, and you were never forgotten. Every person on Earth has been looking for you. We came for you, all of you." Behind him, his second-in-command reported, "Sir, we've secured 247 humans, 312 beings from 18 other species. Medical teams are inbound." "Good, now burn this place. I want nothing left but debris." The facility's destruction was broadcast across the galaxy. Every species watched as human forces systematically eliminated the structures where their people had suffered. No demands for surrender, no negotiations, just cold, methodical destruction. The Zethran High Council reconvened in emergency session. In 3 days, they'd lost 60% of their military capability. Their economy was collapsing as supply chains failed. Colonies were in revolt as word spread about what their government had been doing. "We must negotiate," one counselor insisted. "The humans are destroying everything. We do not negotiate with inferiors." Kexval shouted. "We have reserves. We can still—" The holographic display activated, showing Admiral Zhang's face. She hadn't been invited to this meeting. She didn't care. "Your reserves won't save you," she said calmly. "We've been monitoring your communications. We know where every ship is, every station, every hidden facility. We've already destroyed 47 research installations. We freed 8,000 captives from 32 species. And we're not stopping." Bexinar stepped forward. "What do you want? Resources? Territory? Name your price." "Justice." Zhang's voice was hard. "We want every official involved in these operations. We want full disclosure of every crime committed over the past century and a half. We want every victim compensated. And we want public trials where the galaxy can see exactly what you've done." "That's impossible. The political ramifications are your problem, not mine. You have 24 hours to begin transferring prisoners to neutral custody and surrendering the accused. After that, we start targeting your homeworlds." The transmission ended. Kexval was still sputtering about impossible demands when the first human strike force appeared in orbit above Zethron Prime itself. They didn't fire on the planet. They didn't need to. Their presence said everything. You are not safe. Nowhere is safe. We can reach you anywhere. The Interstellar Assembly reconvened, but everything had changed. The chamber that once symbolized galactic order now felt like a relic of a corrupt age. Species that had been silent for generations now demanded answers. Why had their people's disappearances been ignored? Why had the assembly protected predators instead of victims? The major powers scrambled to distance themselves from the Zethron. No one wanted to be associated with the losing side. No one wanted human warships appearing in their space. Marcus Webb stood before the assembly one more time. This time no one interrupted him. For 150 years this body failed in its most basic duty, protecting the innocent. You allowed the strong to prey on the weak because it was convenient, because it maintained your power structures, because you believed some species were more important than others. He activated a new display. These are the names of every being we've recovered from Zethron facilities. 8,214 individuals from 38 species. Some were taken last month. Some were taken 40 years ago. All of them were forgotten by this assembly. The display shifted to show the faces of children. Human, yes, but also young beings from dozens of other species. These are the ones you abandoned. The ones you called acceptable losses. Look at them. Remember them. Because they're the reason we're rebuilding this entire system. A delegate from the Corvian Union, a minor species that had lost 3 ships over the years, stood up. What do you propose, Delegate Webb? A new concordat. One based on a simple principle. Every species, regardless of size or power, has the right to protection under law. The strong have an obligation to defend the weak, not exploit them, and any violation is met with immediate, overwhelming force. You want humanity to be the enforcers? Another delegate asked skeptically. No. We want to be the shield while others build the justice system. We'll provide military protection. But the laws, the trials, the governance, that should come from all of you. We're not seeking an empire. We're seeking a galaxy where what happened to our people never happens to anyone again. The debate lasted for weeks, but slowly something new emerged. The Free Species Concordat, a government where every species had equal voice, where violations were investigated immediately, where the powerful were held accountable. The Zethron Collective was dissolved. Its territories were placed under concordat protection. Thousands of officials faced trials broadcast across the galaxy. Some were imprisoned. Some were executed. The galaxy watched as the mighty fell. 6 months after the last battle, Captain David Torres stood on the observation deck of Luna Station. Below him, Earth rotated peacefully, unaware of how close it had come to war on a galactic scale. Beside him, one of the rescued children, a girl named Emma Kowalski who'd been 10 when captured, looked out at the stars. Do you think it was worth it? She asked quietly. All the fighting? All the people who died? Torres considered the question carefully. We lost 347 ships during the war. Over 12,000 soldiers and crew. That's 12,000 families who lost someone they loved. So no? So I think it was necessary. If we'd walked away, more children would have been taken. More families destroyed. We didn't start this war for conquest or glory. We started it because someone had to say enough. Emma nodded slowly. The Zethron who ran the facility where they kept us, he told me that humans were weak, that we'd never amount to anything important in the galaxy. What do you think now? I think he was wrong about what makes a species strong. It's not how many ships you have or how big your empire is. It's whether you care enough to fight for people who can't fight for themselves. Torres smiled. That's wiser than most admirals I know. Below them, transport ships lifted off from Earth's surface carrying freed prisoners back to their home worlds. Human vessels escorted each one, ensuring safe passage. The galaxy was learning that humanity kept its promises. In the new Concordat chamber, smaller than the old assembly, more humble, but infinitely more just. Marcus Webb was working with delegates from dozens of species to draft protection protocols. How to respond to distress calls. How to investigate disappearances. How to ensure no species ever felt abandoned again. Admiral Zhang was overseeing the integration of different species' ships into a unified peacekeeping fleet. Humans provided the military expertise and heavy firepower, but captains came from all over the galaxy, unity through diversity. And in hospitals across human space and beyond, survivors were beginning to heal. Some wounds would never fully close. Some nightmares would never stop. But they were alive. They were home. They were remembered. Dr. Amara Singh published her full report on the Zethron operations. It became required reading in the new Concordat, a reminder of what happened when power went unchecked. Schools across hundreds of worlds taught the lessons: vigilance, justice, compassion. The memorial was completed 1 year after the war ended. It orbited in neutral space accessible to all species, a sphere of crystal and metal listing every name, every victim, every person who'd suffered under the old order. At its center, in a dozen languages, a simple inscription: never again. Never forgotten. Never alone. Emma stood with Torres at the memorial's dedication ceremony. Representatives from every species in the Concordat attended. Some laid flowers. Some performed rituals of remembrance. Some simply stood in silence, mourning their lost. They made us do this, Torres said quietly. We wanted peace. We tried diplomacy. They gave us no choice. But we chose how to respond, Emma replied. We could have just saved ourselves and left everyone else. We didn't. That's what matters. Torres looked at the young woman beside him. She'd been a terrified child in a cage. Now she was studying xenodiplomacy at university, preparing to work in the Concordat's Justice Department, turning her trauma into purpose. You're right, he said. The galaxy tried to teach us that the strong prey on the weak. Instead, we taught them that the strong protect the weak. That's humanity's legacy now. Across the galaxy, that lesson was taking root. Species that had once lived in fear now traveled freely. The hunting grounds were patrolled. The darkness was pushed back. And standing guard, always watching, always ready, was humanity. Not because they wanted power, not because they sought glory, but because they remembered what it felt like to be small, vulnerable, and ignored. And they'd sworn that no one would feel that way again. The war was over. The peace had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. In a small house on Earth, a mother opened her door to find her daughter standing there, rescued from the void. They embraced, crying, holding each other like they'd never let go. Across the stars, similar reunions played out, families made whole again, lives returned, hope restored. Humanity hadn't asked to be warriors. They'd been forced into it by a galaxy that mistook kindness for weakness. But now the galaxy knew the truth. Humanity could be gentle. Humanity could be patient. Humanity could forgive, but humanity would never, ever forget its own. And anyone who threatened human lives or the lives of those under human protection would learn why Earth's oldest stories were filled with monsters. Because sometimes, monsters were necessary to fight monsters, and humanity had become very, very good at it.